Hi, this is Mike Cruz with AC-Tek, and today I'm going to be discussing how to simulate chains in our Newton software. This is a new feature since version 2.16, and it's going to require you to either use the chain links that we've provided for you or create your own chain links. So if we go to the size distribution window, you'll notice that we've given you a new particle library file with this update. And one of these distributions is called chain link, and that contains two links that Newton will stack these in alternating positions to create a chain. The solids ratio is set to 1.0 so that when we go into our material generator page, we can enter the true density of the steel and use that as our bulk density. So if we go to the cluster creator window, you can see that these chain links are basically just spheres that are arranged in the shape of a chain link. And you can go ahead and create pretty much any size, any geometry of a chain link that you want, as long as there's a gap in the middle so that Newton can hook the chains together. So when we want to actually generate these chain links, there's a few things that we need to set. So first of all, Newton recognizes the name of this size distribution, chain link, and that's how it knows that it should be generating as a chain. So for now, that size distribution has to be spelled exactly this way with the same capitalization and spacing, and that's how Newton will know to generate a chain. So the generation method has to be set to clusters, and the tonnage is the number of links in a single chain. The cluster count is the total number of chain links to be generated. So I have 6 chains, each of them with 11 links, so the total number of links is 66. The center position is the position for that first chain link. The minimum particle gap is the spacing, the initial spacing between the chain links. Because obviously we can't start this chain as fully extended. We have to have a little bit of gap between the chain links so that they can drop into place. Then the bounding box gap is the spacing between the chains. And finally, the linear gap factor is what Newton uses to determine the direction in which to generate the chains. This has a default value of 0, and it can be set to either 0, 1, 2, or 3. So with the value of 0, the chains are generated so that they're hanging vertically, and they are stacked in the x direction. And if I change this to 1, the chains will be generated so they're hanging vertically and they're stacked in the y direction. If I change it to 2, the chains will be hanging horizontally and they'll be stacked in the x direction. But you'll notice that the chain links are not connected, and that's because these chain links aren't rotated properly to be generated horizontally. So we can go to the size distribution window and change these to the vertical links. And then finally, with a value of 3, the chains are still generated horizontally, and this time they'll be stacked in the y direction. And again, you'll notice that the chain links aren't generated properly because they need to be rotated. And we can see that each chain link needs to be rotated in the z, about the z-axis by 90 degrees. So we can go to our cluster creator window and go to transform cluster and rotate both of these by 90 degrees. And now we're good to go. So if we wanted to change which link was generated first at the top of the chain, there are 2 ways we could do it. We could either just go through and rotate both of these chain links by 90 degrees so that they're in the opposite positions, or we can simply swap the positions of the clusters in the size distribution, and now this one will be generated first. So let's go ahead and set everything back. Now the last thing to note is that the chain, the top link of the chain is not generated in a fixed position. So you need to physically attach these chains to something. So I've just inserted a bar in here that the chains will be hanging from. But you could use hooks or whatever you want to hang these chains from. You just need to make sure that the top link is generated so that it's, you know, inside whatever you're hooking it to. Now if we go ahead and run this, and we can see those chains go ahead and drop into place. And that covers how to create chains using Newton. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and shoot us an email at info@actek.com. Otherwise, I hope you find this feature useful and have a good day.